look at a new game called The Finals, and it's possibly one of the most ambitious first-person shooter games that I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah. Woo!
It's definitely got some of the best destruction ever in a PvP game.
Absolutely beautiful.
Holy sh**.
The mechanics of this game, the whole premise of this game, the aesthetics of this game, the physics of this game, I like it, man.
Oh, not this time. Yeah, let's go. Oh, you son of a bitch. In my last video, I mentioned The Finals as an example of a temporarily hyped game. The Finals, you remember? The game with no bugs, excellent movement and perfect gunplay. It came out 6 months ago and it's almost dead.
Bro, The Finals isn't even dead.
The Finals is not dead.
The Finals is still populated.
A game with no major bugs, a good launch and great matchmaking. One of the best movement systems I've ever seen and very good gameplay with destructive environment. On top of that, a live service with seasons, new game modes and lots of content. And all of that for free. But there is dead silence in the media. There's no one talking about it. Nobody reviewing new updates or familiar. Only a couple of thousand people playing this masterpiece. We reached season 3 and the game is almost dead. But why? If it's so good as I mentioned, why does almost nobody play it anymore? This is the sad fate of one of the best FPS we got in a long time. The sad fate of The Finals. The Finals was released on December 7th, 2023, so basically half a year ago. It had a small hype, which is usual for a title like this. It has great graphics and mechanics, fluent animation and even ex-Battlefield devs who brought destruction to the next level. Despite having a solid foundation, the player numbers started to decrease heavily. But why? So first of all, timing was not the problem. This game didn't make the same mistake as X-Defined, which was released during the end of dry time in the shooter genre. A terrible idea. Because you're close to the summer holidays where everyone is on vacation or spending time outside. As if it wasn't enough, the European Championship of Football, or soccer, whatever you want to call it, started. And now Europeans gather around to rage together while watching a ball literally flying from right to left. Releasing The Finals a couple of weeks after the big titles was a smart idea. The amount of potential players were a lot higher thanks to the low temperatures and winter holidays. The major problem of the game though was that literally nobody asked for it. I know it sounds hard and I feel pain while saying this, but if you realize what other popular games we have, you would understand. The Finals is an arena shooter, a small team fighting for an objective in a small area, whether you attack, defend or catch something. The gameplay is very intense and based on close combat. There is a large player base for these kind of games, but a wide selection too. We have, for example, Counter-Strike, Valorant, Overwatch, Call of Duty of course, and Rainbow Six Siege, which even has a destructive environment too. Yes, The Finals is more detailed and more fluent, but you know how we humans are. As soon as we get used to something, we stick to it until it won't please us anymore. So why should people switch to another game which isn't that different from the one they're playing now? There are curious people amongst us, of course, that give it a try, but we as humans, if we aren't stunned right from the beginning, will go back to our familiar game and play that instead. Just like Modern Warfare 2 and 3 back in 2011, or Battlefield 1 and 5, or 3 and 4, for example. The Finals still managed to gain enough players to form a small but loyal community though. The next problem is linked to the previous one. The Finals is more for competitive players than for regular players who just want to enjoy a couple of hours afterward. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people can't enjoy this game just for fun, but you have to admit that it's very competitive focused and requires more strategy and concentration to have a good time. Whether you like it or not, but despite having a large community community playing competitive-oriented games like Valorant or Overwatch, the interest for regular run-and-gun games like Call of Duty or Battlefield is much higher. Therefore, it's harder for a game to rise that has a smaller amount of potential players, especially when you have lots of competition, just like in this case. But I'm telling you, if the finals came out a couple of years earlier, it would have been a much greater success due to the lack of competitors. The third problem is the limited options of guns and gadgets. Within the 3 classes, you can pick a small number of guns and gadgets to play on the arena. There is nothing to configure except the gun skins. In comparison with other games like Call of Duty or Rainbow Six, the finals becomes too simple and very boring for some players. Another problem, for some players at least, I noticed while playing with some friends who usually play story games, was a strong skill gap. Many of you are gonna wish me to hit my little toe to a sharp edge for saying this, but it must be told. You know, our society these days wants everything without putting any effort in it. This is the case in multiplayer games as well. People come online to play some rounds and expect to have a great time without struggling. Nice imagination, but reality is different. Some developers fight for these people and implement systems like strong skill-based matchmaking in order to please them. This game though does not prioritize an overall balance of success for all players, but instead rewards players that want to become better in the game, like it always has been and always should be. The consequences are that people become upset because they sucked in the game and don't touch it anymore. I mean, we saw how lots of Call of Duty players reacted to X-Defiant when it released without engaged optimized matchmaking. Earning by grinding has become a no-go for some players, unfortunately. And the last point that ruined the success of this game are cheaters. These losers thinking they might be valuable in winning in a video game by unfair methods have a much harder impact on the gameplay due to the requirement of good strategy to avoid waiting in spectator mode for the whole round. It slows down the gameplay and just ruins the player's experience. Console players are lucky to be able to find a lobby without cheaters, but have overall a hard time to find a console-only lobby too. From all the games that have been released since 2020, the finals is by far the most underrated game I've ever played. As soon as the devs find a final solution against cheaters, you gotta try it, or at least give it another chance. The devs are still motivated and bring out new game modes and events to please their community. It should be appreciated, because it's one of the last games that stick to traditional game design. If you enjoy these kind of videos and gameplay with comedy, leave a like and subscribe. With that being said, enjoy your day and I'll see you in the next video.